legal team working for customers of the collapsed investment company Key Data is claiming there was confusion over the selling of the products. More than 3,000 people put their savings into the company following advice from the Norwich And Peterborough Building Society.
Keep away from that product.
At stake, sums ranging from £5,000 to more than £100,000. For many, life savings invested to provide a regular income in retirement. The firm Regulatory Legal is offering a no-win, no-fee action in exchange for 10% of the money recovered. It claims customers were misled over the risk involved. It cites this letter sent to customers 4 years ago, accepting certain documents may confuse rather than clarify the key elements of this contract.
The FSA, which is the UK's primary regulator for this type of work, is very clearly saying these are complex investments. And you've got to ask yourself the question, why does a certain profile of depositor, mostly retired, mostly using their life savings, get into something which is complex when that's not what they wanted?
The NNP says following a review of Key Data paperwork, it felt the descriptions of the product and its risks should be strengthened to avoid any investors not fully understanding the risks they were accepting. It believed none of the customers written to indicated that they wished to alter their decisions in the light of the Society's clarification. The Norwich and Peterborough Victims Group, which represents more than 200 investors, is keeping out of the joint legal action. It's lodging complaints with the Building Society, enlisting the support of dozens of MPs, and if necessary, will go to the Financial Ombudsman. It says some of its number are facing real financial hardship. Kim Riley, BBC Look East, Norwich.
A decision on upgrading the A11 has been delayed until the autumn. Just one stretch remains single carriageway, and a decision about converting it into a dual carriageway had been expected this month. Last week, a public inquiry into improvements to the A14 in Cambridgeshire was put on hold. A former police officer from Essex who pleaded guilty to grooming a 13-year-old girl has been jailed for 30 months. The court in Edinburgh was told that Russell West admitted having indecent conversations with the girl between 2008 and 2009.
I'm sure lots of you saw the Queen's birthday flypast over Buckingham Palace on Saturday, or perhaps you saw some of the planes on their way to London. It took months of planning to put together the 3-minute spectacle. One of the biggest formations featured RAF Tornadoes from Norfolk.
This is the view from the ground, quite a sight. Now, take the pilot's eye view. 9 months of planning, all for a few seconds spectacle. Of the 29 planes in last Saturday's flypast, 6 Tornado GR4s from RAF Marham.
The plan is there, everyone's expecting it to work. If we stick to it, it will work.
The Norfolk air crews know that they have to time it to the second, because old Spitfires, big Tri-Stars and fast Tornadoes all fly at different speeds. Will and Gaz are flying together. We gave them one of our cameras.
We will effectively be chasing them down all the way in with the difference in speed, and it's only actually over the palace that all our timings will be absolutely spot on.
You've done this before, is it fun?
It's fun looking back on it, but no, as Will said earlier, it is a privilege, and yes, it is good fun, but more in retrospect than during the planning phases.
Over Southwold, Gaz and Will team up with the Tri-Star. In the distance, Sizewell. Minutes later, a clear view of Manningtree in Essex. The planes track down to London, where they team up with the far slower Spitfire and Hurricane. Then on to Buckingham Palace.
If you can imagine a car going at 30 miles an hour, a car going at 50, a car going at 90, they're the kind of different speeds that we're looking at. We've got the Battle of Britain Memorial Flight right at the front, and we've got the fighters and the Red Arrows coming in behind. And so we have to make that all look like a very organised train. Trying to make that all work over Buckingham Palace all at the right time is a lot of planning.
6 months ago, I met up with these same Tornado crews as they flew over the battlefields of southern Afghanistan. The spectacle below them this weekend could not have been more different. Alex Dunlop, BBC Look East, RF Marham.
The police are trying to trace a prisoner who's got away from a prison in Suffolk. 25-year-old James Whitlock was serving a sentence for theft at Edmonds Hill Prison in Stradishall near Newmarket. He's of slight build, is thought to have walked out of the prison at about 9 o'clock this morning. The police have warned people to contact them if they see him and not to approach him.
A rare piece of our maritime heritage is being restored at Lowestoft. It's the SS Robin, the last remaining steam coaster anywhere in the world. Officials say they chose Lowestoft because of its nautical expertise.
Lowestoft has lost the bulk of its fishing fleet, and many of the big boat builders have gone too. But the area still has its share of skilled craftsmen, and that's why the SS Robin is here. John Buckley is one of the restoration team. He's worked on vessels for more than 25 years. But this, he says, is something special, and it needs handling in a very old-fashioned way.
We've had to almost go back to grassroots and ask some of the older shipwrights who are still around in their 80s and 90s how it was done in those days, because we have restored her and used the same skills and materials as would have been used when she's been built.
She's now 120 years old. This is how she used to look, and this is how she'll look in just a few weeks, fixed to a pontoon and turned into a floating museum destined for London. The giant pontoon is already in Lowestoft, and the coaster will be lifted on by crane in a fortnight.
This has never been done before. We believe it's a world first, so lots of interesting technical challenges to face. I mean, the beauty of it is that she will still be afloat, but she just won't need to rely on her own hull to do so.
Once the lift is complete, SS Robin will head to the capital, for once, under someone else's steam. Kevin Birch, BBC Look East, in Lowestoft.
34 years ago, an Olympic gold medalist returned to his hometown of Brightlingsea to a street parade and a hero's welcome.